This is the crisis of Isaiah 58. Your worship is a fraud. And it's a fraud because it doesn't connect the two things. You seek God, but you have no interest in demonstrating God's life in the world. This is the crisis of worship that matters most to God. And in a way, you'd say what the whole of the Bible is addressing is that crisis, a complete disjunction between what we may profess on the one hand and how we actually live on the other. So as a result, it comes down to saying, you think that what I'm about is just ritual, it's just form, it's just a sort of liturgical reality, or is it about a demonstrated life that looks like the God that you worship? We become like the thing or things or people that we worship. And if your worship doesn't lead you to live a life that looks more and more like God's life, then there is a major crisis. Then after having indicted Israel in this way in the first 5 verses, then the second part of this chapter goes on to say, by contrast, is not this actually the fast or the worship that I choose, God says, to loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry and bring the homeless poor into your house, when you see the naked to cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own kin? Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly. Your vindicator shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry for help, and he will say, here I am. This is an amazing contrast. So it's saying, this is actually how I want you to show that you worship me, by how you treat the poor and the vulnerable and the oppressed and the marginalized. And how you treat them is going to tell me what really matters in your life and whether or not what you claim is first is actually first. Those will be the things and priorities that are first if you're worshiping me, God says. And if those are not the things that actually show up in your life, then your worship is about someone or something else. This is a stark and dramatic indictment. And it's an indictment that we have to take, I think, today every bit as seriously as Israel needed to take it so long ago, because in actual fact, it's this same congruence between what we profess on the one hand and how we live on the other that is the central issue of God's call for us to be transformed. It's not just to get us to stand and sing worship songs. It's not just to use all of our artistic gifts to be able to create pieces of art that draw people in various ways that may not be a drawing to the real God. It may just be a drawing to a God of our own tastes, our own social location, our own racial background, our own economic status, and not really to the God made known in Jesus Christ, ultimately, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the question then is that the doing of justice is the demonstration of whether or not we actually worship God, or whether in the end our worship or our as if worship is actually first and foremost really about ourselves.